Boo! Haha! I spooked you. Like a fucking ghost. Summer Ghost is a 40-minute anime short film from Flat Studio and up-and-coming director Loundraw, who started as an illustrator and design artist for projects such as Vivi, Josie, the Tiger and the Fish, and I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. You wanna what now? It was released in Japanese cinemas in 2021, and it is absolutely beautiful. Its presentation and cinematography are exceptional, the use of color and saturation is astonishing, the protagonist is wonderfully identifiable, and the overall message it conveys is an incredibly important and powerful lesson for anyone from any walk of life. However, admittedly, it's got its fair share of problems, and we will cover them, but I don't believe these flaws rob the film of its overall value. It's nowhere near the masterpiece it easily could have been, and I do mean easily, but I still think it has a story worth telling, artistry worth witnessing, and a message worth applying. Let's dive in. Summer Ghost is about three friends who met over the internet: Tomoya, Aoi, and Rio. They're finally meeting in person to, well, there's really no other way to put it. Basically, perform a seance to summon the legendary Summer Ghost using sparkler fireworks. Why, you may ask? Well, they have some questions for the girl, whose name, by the way, is Ayane. They want to know what it's like being a spirit, because all three of them have been contemplating death in their own ways. Aoi is having suicidal ideations due to being relentlessly bullied at school, Rio has a terminal illness which will claim his life in 9 months, and Tomoya wants to escape the pressures from his mother and academics, and he thinks being dead would be the best way for him to finally be free. Without going into major spoilers, the majority of the movie focuses on Tomoya revisiting Ayane multiple times and going on spirit ventures with her as a way to escape his everyday life. But soon, Ayane and Tomoya decide to locate her body so that her spirit can finally be put to rest. I'll do a deep dive into the themes, plot threads, and all that juicy meat very shortly, but real quick, I gotta glaze the animation. This shit is gorgeous. I dare say just as gorgeous as any Makoto Shinkai feature. It reminds me of his early work like Voices from a Distant Star and 5 centimeters. I absolutely love the compositing and lighting in this movie. The atmosphere it creates is spellbinding. The sweeping camera moves are astounding, the layout work is fabulous, the blocking is superb. Loundraw really knows what he's doing in regard to pure aesthetics. This is his debut film, and my god, what a visual statement. And the music is just as beautiful. The arrangements accompanying the flying scenes and the emotional peaks of the short really do evoke all those mushy, sentimental, romanticized feelings that anime is just so good at indulging in. As much as I love the overall presentation, I think it's time we dissect some of the problems. 'Cause, boy howdy, does this movie got 'em? And the only way we can do that is to delve into spoilers. But like I said, it's only 40 minutes, so if you want to watch it for yourself, you should totally do that. Here's your time code. Don't feed it after midnight. A flippity floppity flaws. The most major flaw is that Aoi and Rio are criminally underutilized and underdeveloped. These two have very well-founded reasons for contemplating death, and we get very little insight into their plight. We can infer a lot of character development from the information we get with Aoi, but I would have liked to have had more screen time with her. And as far as Rio is concerned, they fucking speedrun his arc like no tomorrow. He starts off seemingly accepting about his medical condition, but you can tell there's turmoil under the surface. Then, at the halfway mark of the film, bro crashes out about his mortality, and the literal next scene, not even a minute after, he locks the fuck in like nothing happened. Not since Davis in the Digimon movie have I seen such a rushed emotional journey. Now, the common criticism levied against this movie is, because it's only 40 minutes, it doesn't have time to flesh out all of its characters evenly. If it were, say, an hour and a half, it would have been more effective. And while I do agree the extended runtime would definitely benefit the film, I would also argue that you can do a lot in 40 minutes as exemplified by this very movie. They managed to convey Tomoya's inner conflict with just visuals where he's picturing a scene for a painting, only to get harshly criticized by his mother talking about his grades. So I would say Ryo and Aoi's rushed development and lack of development are a failure on the writer's part to properly balance their stories, along with the stories of our two protagonists. The second problem is, well, not necessarily a problem, just something I didn't understand. I don't quite get why Tomoya's soul left his body right when he touched the suitcase. Like, I get the character revelation he had, that was the climax of his arc, and extremely necessary. I just don't get why he had to face himself before opening the suitcase. Felt like weird, forced narrative tension. And finally, I have a dialogue nitpick. At the end of the movie, Ryo has a very peculiar line in his inspirational speech. Everything is gonna work out for the two of you. There's no guarantee, but I guarantee it. And I gotta be honest, I fucking laughed. Like, come on, that's such a bad line. Anyway, those are pretty much the flaws with the film, and I wanted to get them out of the way because for everything this movie fumbles, it also does so many wonderful things right. At the heart of the movie is the main character, Tomoya. He's our emotional anchor throughout the feature. His relationship with Ayane is definitely one of the highlights of the story. They have a romantic rapport, but obviously with her being dead, it never goes beyond a very sophisticated mutual respect. It's a rather charming dynamic and is easy to engage with. Also, am I the only one who thinks Ayane looks a little bit like Asuka? As much as I like Ayane superficially, she's still not as strong as Tomoya despite getting an equal amount of screen time. And that's not to say she's void of development. We do get a backstory about how she was murdered by being hit by a car and then stuffed in a goddamn suitcase while she was still conscious, mind you, and buried in a junkyard. Wow. That's, morbid. But she's very blasé about it, and we don't get any introspection as to how she feels about her murder or the injustice of it all. For all intents and purposes, she seems very well adjusted. And you could say it's because she's been dead for so long that she's gotten used to the isolation and unjust nature of her death circumstances, but still, I would have liked to have seen that explored, and considering her screen time, I think that would have been possible. Actually, come to think of it, has the mom even tried to contact the police about this? Your daughter was killed and the murderer stuffed her corpse in a fucking suitcase and buried it in a junkyard. You wanna maybe do something about that? Maybe at least file a missing persons report? I digress. Tomoya's self-discovery arc is easily one of the strongest pillars of the film. He's a reclusive painter who's pressured by his domineering mother to get better grades than his already exceptional GPA. Upon meeting Ayane, she shows him that she can separate his soul from his body and take him flying, and Tomoya becomes rather addicted to being a spirit. He sees it as a great escape from the melancholy of his everyday life. He, ironically, feels more alive being the ethereal version of himself, which makes sense because every time he tries to escape into his artistry, it's interrupted by his mom, and he's constantly discouraged and undermined about pursuing an art career. As the film progresses, he learns through Ayane and through his internet friends that life is worth so much more than what he originally thought. The friendships and relationships you form with people and the moments you share with them are worth their weight in gold. And it would be a disservice to yourself to not seize every moment you have with them. He even outright states the theme of the movie. We all die, but do we all live? A pressing question the film poses to the characters and to the viewers. It emphasizes the importance of approaching each day with the best intentions, to embrace the natural beauties and tranquilities the world has to offer, and to live your best life. Which is exceptionally conveyed in the ending scene of the film. The three friends meet up again with their fireworks in what seems to be an attempt to contact Ayane again. but it's soon revealed that they actually used the fireworks to contact Rio's spirit, who died 6 months ago. He shares a heartfelt conversation with his friends, urging them to live audaciously every day before disappearing with the flicker of his fireworks. Tomoya and Aoi bid a bittersweet farewell to their friend before walking off into the morning sun, knowing they'll meet again. First off, beautiful ending. My favorite scene in the movie next to the first flight scene. And secondly, theme is definitely the strongest aspect of storytelling in this narrative and carries the movie through its weaker parts. It prioritizes the themes above all else, and while I do very much appreciate their consistency with the narrative and Tomoya's arc, I would have liked to have gotten more out of the other characters. Still, I can't understate how much I got out of this movie on a subjective level, and the themes are mainly to thank for that. Summer Ghost may not be the strongest film I've ever covered, but it's among the most beautiful, and I wanted to give a shout out to a new director in the anime scene. Well, anyway, that's it for spoiler section. This film is beautifully imperfect. Its significant problems do hold it back from being truly great, but even so, it has earned so much enthusiasm and good faith from me. I can't defend its flaws, but I also can't not praise its merits and beauty. I'd recommend this film for any anime enjoyer or any animation enthusiast in general. There's a lot going for this movie, and it has a lot to say about life and why we should take advantage of every day.
Carpe diem. It's Latin for seize the day.
Or you could say seize the day was English for carpe diem.
Yes, you could.
And I think that's a very healthy, encouraging message. It has the best intentions for its viewers and cares deeply about what it's trying to convey. For a debut feature, it ain't half bad, and I admire the boldness. Loundraw may not have the tightest writing yet, but I can only hope that he'll hone in on those skills and deliver another heartfelt animated film. And, yeah, I think we're done here. Don't got much else to say, I'm sure I can pad this out somehow. Thanks for watching, and always remember to topple your local government.